Today, 21 civil servants that worked with the Department of Government Efficiency stepped down and resigned in protest of Elon Musk's haphazard dismantling of the federal government. Now, here's an important thing to note here, big caveat. These anonymous employees had actually worked for the US Digital Service, which was an executive branch unit that was then rebranded by Musk and Trump, as the United States Doge service. And so these federal workers were already there when Doge was created. They were not hired by Elon Musk. Nonetheless, the group includes engineers, data scientists, and product managers. So in a letter that they wrote to Susie Wiles, Trump's chief of staff, they explained their decision to step down. And I'm curious what you think about how this is all kind of developing.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I thought that these were Elon Musk guys, and then I was like, whoa, Doge guys are quitting, and there must be something crazy going on. So it's not that, but what it is also very revealing because of a couple of things that these guys said, not just a resignation, but their specific reasons. So let's get into that.
So they write to Susie Wiles, Donald Trump's chief of staff. Each of us left senior private sector technology positions to pursue nonpartisan public service. We swore to serve the American people and uphold our oath to the Constitution across presidential administrations. However, it has become clear that we can no longer honor those commitments at the United States Doge service. On January 21st, we were subjected to 15-minute interviews by individuals wearing White House visitor badges. Several of these interviewers refused to identify themselves, asked questions about political loyalty, attempted to pit colleagues against each other, and demonstrated limited technical ability. This process created significant security risks and was designed to intimidate government employees. On February 14th, 1/3 of our USDS colleagues were indiscriminately terminated by an anonymous email. These highly skilled civil servants were working to modernize Social Security, veteran services, tax filing, healthcare, disaster relief, student aid, and other critical services. So those who remained, about 65 staffers, were then integrated into Doge's government slashing effort. And honestly, now they've had enough. So they also say, we will not use our skills as technologists to compromise core government systems, jeopardize American sensitive data, or dismantle critical public services. We will not lend our expertise to carry out or legitimize Doge's actions. The resignations now reduce the Department of Government efficiency by roughly 1/3. But in response, White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt was pretty dismissive and essentially stated that protests, lawsuits, and lawfare will not deter Donald Trump.
Yeah, because he's in the middle of doing lawfare against James Comey today. So he's apparently not bothered by it at all. Okay, so now this is super important for a couple of reasons. Look at the things that they demanded. Political loyalty, they had limited technical ability. So like, remember Musk said, I brought in these geniuses in Doge. They're actually young guys who are political ideologues. And that's what every interaction at a government agency, they're reporting back the same thing. They're looking for political litmus tests, loyalty litmus tests, right? They're just a bunch of meatheads who, they're not geniuses at all. They need these tech guys, right? So what happened to the tech geniuses? Why are you lost without the actual tech people? And and what are they doing? Intimidating government employees. Look, I can't right now tell you that I know for a fact that there's a giant robbery coming. But I can tell you that if you were going to do a giant robbery, this is exactly how you would do it. What's the first thing you would do? You would say, you'd fire all the cops so you can't get arrested. So all the regulators at the SEC, the IRS, gone, CFPB gone entirely. Any kind of regulator, Wall Street, crypto, gone. The 50 guys working on crypto regulations moved out at the SEC and one other organization. So all the cops are gone, okay, check. Second of all, you do political and loyalty tests to all the government officials you deal with to make sure that you're not gonna say anything now, are you? You're a team player, aren't you? That's exactly what, if you're doing a criminal enterprise, you need loyalty over competence. Oh, look at that, they don't actually have competence, but they have loyalty and they're demanding loyalty. And you do one last thing, you'd reduce transparency. And that's why we have this absurd thing of, wait, does Elon Musk run Doge or doesn't he run Doge? Because of course he runs Doge, and Trump, since he doesn't know anything, is like, yeah, what do you mean? Of course he runs it. But in court, they're saying, no, he doesn't. Why? Because we don't want to show you any of his financial interests. There's giant conflicts of interest that you would have to report if he was an employee of the government. So they don't want to report his giant conflicts of interest. So what happened to radical transparency? It's the exact opposite. Then you'd cover up your side so that no one could see what you were doing. If you're gonna do a robbery, that is exactly how you would do it. So now these guys resigning are the 200th red flag in a row, going, this isn't gonna end well. Look, the one silver lining here is, I've told you from day one, that whatever money they're gonna do legitimately in $4.5 trillion in tax cuts that they announced this week, and whatever they're going to do illegitimately, if anything, that money's already gone, because that's their number one priority. Before anybody finds out what the hell's going on, that money's gonna be gone, okay? It's so gone. In my opinion, we'll see how it goes. It's a prediction. I don't have any inside information, okay? But afterwards, the silver lining is the American people are going to be furious, furious. And if you think that, they won't mind that they got robbed because they got robbed by Elon and he's so cool and he's so pro-MAGA. All right, let's see what happens. Maybe he's not gonna do a robbery. Maybe he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart for the American people.
Is Elon cool? I mean, like, his shenanigans at CPAC were super cringe.
Can I just tell you guys, look,
super cringe.
Guys, we've been covering politics for so long. It's all theater. So the Democratic politicians do the thing that their voters want, especially their donors and the elites. So they'll come in and all sophisticated and they'll support the Kennedy Center and they'll do that kind of play acting. And, oh golly gee, we care about you. And Nancy Pelosi will talk about her universal health care poster she has in her basement from 48 years ago. And said it's all theater, they're acting. So same thing with the Republican establishment. Now Trump is a different kind of actor, Elon Musk. So why did Elon Musk go from Democrat, theoretically, to hardcore MAGA on all issues, on all? He didn't change a little bit. He apparently flip-flopped on all of his issues because he's acting. He doesn't care about any of those things. He's just saying the things that he thinks will get the right wing to like him because he thinks the right wing was going to win the election. That way he would get to be in power. Oh look, he's in power and runs almost the entire government and has his young thugs going around the government, intimidating people, threatening people, firing people. But what are they gonna do with that, the letter that he's now resending? You can't read 3 million letters as to why your job should exist. They're literally talking about having an algorithm, AI decide who's gonna get fired. This is not going to end well. They're gonna run right into a brick wall called American citizens. And they think they're so arrogant. They're like, oh, we got everybody tricked. Elon's such a great actor and Trump's such a great actor. Yeah, let's see how that turns out.
So the FAA announced today that they have agreed to use SpaceX's Starlink internet system to upgrade the information technology networks it uses to manage US airspace, raising some concerns about conflicts of interest.
Look at that, right away, the top donor to Donald Trump, huge contract.
Okay, let me just finish detailing it, okay, before you interrupt with your anger and rage. We don't know how much the contract is for yet, but this is, okay. All right, let's get to the rest of it. Let's get to the rest of this story. So if you're wondering how much government waste has been rooted out by Doge, it turns out that they have been providing where the cuts have been happening. And an analysis of those cuts show that they're not actually saving much money. So look, this really has to do with the fact that some of the funding is kind of guaranteed for the programs that have been slashed. So I wanna get to the details on that. The Associated Press has revealed that the agency's own data indicates that 40% of the contracts canceled by Doge have saved American taxpayers no money at all. So there was already some pretty questionable accounting being done, in addition to typos in Doge's numbers that seemed to inflate the amount of money that the government efficiency agency was saving American people. For instance, there was one mistake where they mistakenly included an $8 billion contract in their calculations when it was really an $8 million contract. And the latest reporting also bolsters claims that Musk is kind of juicing his own numbers. The Department of Government Efficiency published an updated list Monday of nearly 2,300 contracts that agencies terminated in recent weeks across the federal government. Data published on Doge's wall of receipts showed that more than 1/3 of those contract cancellations, which is 794 in all, are expected to yield no savings. Now, why is that? That sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, that's usually because the total value of the contracts has already been fully obligated, which means the government has a legal requirement to spend the funds for the goods or services it purchased, and in many cases has already done so.
Okay, so what did I tell you guys? You come in with a blind axe and you chop away, but you don't even know what you're chopping. It's the definition of dumb. If you want to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, this is not how you would do it. So 40% of the contracts already paid, but now some of them we already got the goods or services. Some of them we didn't. So now you cancel a contract we already paid, but now we're not going to get the thing we paid for. How does that help? And then at the CDC, they're like, oh, there's a consulting that they're paying $13 million to. I forget if it's McKinsey or whoever it is, one of the big consulting firms. And we got them. But we already paid them. And it turns out they were looking to reduce the CDC, and they were going to take away 2 offices because they had already decided that it was bloated and they were getting paid to reduce it. But now they won't reduce it. They'll just take the money, but won't reduce it. How did that help? If you cut without looking, it is by definition dumb. Okay, I'm sorry, Anna. Can you please go back to the Starlink and tell us what happened?
So we don't know what the dollar amount for that contract is yet. This story just broke today, earlier today. CNN Business is specifically reporting it, but this is, look, obviously the federal government under Biden had contracts with Starlink, right? So it's not unheard of for this to happen. But it becomes a much bigger issue when Elon Musk, of course, the founder and CEO of these companies, is working super closely with the federal government and the president of the United States, essentially calling the shots in firing federal workers and cutting federal programs, as an unelected official, and then also, getting all sorts of sweet deals by the federal government as he's playing this role within the Trump administration. And so that conflict of interest is real. It is a problem. And if anyone thinks that the richest man in the world is looking out for, blue-collared American workers as he's cutting jobs left and right, I mean, I have a bridge to sell you, okay? I have a pyramid scheme to get you involved in. Like, this is, it's crazy.
So, look, fair show in America. Starlink is an amazing company, and I don't think all of Elon's companies are amazing. Okay, I think Tesla's. I don't know what the hell they do with that valuation. That's a whole separate story, right? But Starlink is an amazing company. But now you're telling me that you're not doing Pentagon cuts, you're doing Pentagon realignment, and now some of that money is going to your company. But that's not what anybody voted for. That's not what MAGA voted for. That's not what we voted for. Nobody voted for do realignment so that we don't save any money, but we give all that money to Donald Trump's top donor. So look, last thing, I think that they think they're cute and they're never gonna get caught. And I think that they're very wrong about that. And part of what they assume is the right wing is gullible. They'll just back us no matter what till the end of time. And I know they think that, the left wing thinks that. I'm apparently the only person who ironically believes a little bit in those voters and who thinks, no, they're gonna catch you. And when they catch you, they're gonna be furious. It hasn't happened yet and probably won't happen for a long time. But eventually everybody gets caught.
I will say once their Medicaid benefits are cut, once they start feeling the economic consequences of what's currently transpiring, when a service they need from the federal government is no longer available, when big banks are able to do whatever the hell they want without a cop on the beat, yeah, maybe some of them will change their minds, but we'll wait and see.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.